Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Save Point Stories, a podcast about our relationship with video games, where we bring our guests to share their experiences and stories about their connections with games and the impressions that they left on their lives. I am joined today by one of our great guests. This is actually a big moment because it is our season finale for season one. And I thought,
sorry.
What better way than to have to end our season with an amazing guest. I'd like to introduce her now. She's one of the amazing co-hosts of 500 Tabs podcast. She's an author and illustrator of one of the most celebrated comic collections of 2024, Cat People. She's been a moderator and a panelist at several internationally renowned conventions, such as WonderCon, San Diego Comic-Con, and most recently, Emerald City Comic-Con. And most importantly, this is the one that I could not forget, is that we're kindred spirits and enjoying some of the finer things in life, such as Magic the Gathering. I'd like to introduce you to none other than Hannah Hillam. Hannah, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me. And yes, Magic the Gathering is one of the finer things in life. And just
not everyone can appreciate it.
No, and just like wine, it will take all the money you have. But, it's worth it. Is it? I don't know.
I think we can both say it's worth it.
Yeah,
it got us to here.
Yeah, exactly. We bonded. If those of you who haven't listened to my podcast with my co-host Kaveh, who's been on this one, we infamously almost he almost died listening to us talk about magic. He hung in there, but man, his eyes were dead.
Yeah, he was losing it inside and it was a slow realization. So you should definitely check out the episode. But and is there anything I missed? Is there anything you wanted to say as well for your own self?
No.
Okay. Well, I'm glad I got to hit everything. Sometimes I'm like, I think I hit just the surface. There's so much that you have, but
I don't know. If I remember. Oh, I was going to say I did not do a panel at WonderCon, but maybe someday. No.
Maybe soon.
The only two panels I've ever done, I've moderated. I've been at San Diego and Emerald City, so I don't know.
Okay, fair. My apologies there on that error, but I mean, when you're at San Diego Comic-Con, that's. Oh yeah. Where else do you go from there besides Emerald City?
That made me want to puke being up there at San Diego. I was like, this is insane.
It's tough. Yeah. It's a journey, the build up, the during, and then you're like, what just occurred? And it's like you're in a twister. And yeah, it's wild. But I do want to get into the episode. What is your game of choice for today's episode?
Elder Scrolls V Skyrim.
Ooh, okay.
Better known as Skyrim.
Skyrim and all its various iterations.
All of its, but yes.
I'm going to go ahead and give a quick overview just for those that may not know what this game is, the percentage. We want to make sure. Elder Scrolls V Skyrim is a 2011 action role-playing game developed by the Bethesda Game Studio and published by Bethesda Softworks. It's the fifth installment, as the 5 denounces, of the Elder Scrolls series, following Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, that came out in 2006. It was released worldwide by Microsoft Windows, PlayStation 3, Xbox 360 around November 2011. The game setting is set 200 years after the events of Oblivion and takes place in Skyrim, the northernmost province in Tamriel, a continent on the planet Nirn. Its main story focuses on the player character, the Dragonborn, on their quest to defeat Alduin, the World Eater, a dragon prophesied to destroy the world.
Yeah.
And Hannah, why does this game mean so much to you?
It's fun. Yeah, the journey I've taken with this game is the reason I am where I am, and I'm not even kidding. Like,
really?
Oh yeah. So I rewind to 2011 when it comes out, and my brother. So I'm living at home at the time, like I'm in college or whatever. And at the time, my brother had played. I remember him playing Oblivion, and so he was at home. I was at home. It was I was in my mid-20s, I think. Okay. Yeah, mid-20s. Yeah, sorry, I kind of forget age and time. And this one came out, and he was so excited to get it, and so he got it, and I was like, "Well, I'll give this a shot." And I failed out of school because of this game.
Because of this? Oh my god!
So, okay. Here's the thing. I think it dealt the death blow, because I was already kind of like clinging on, like for dear life, for having good grades. And See, I can't give it all to Skyrim, but I can give a lot of this to Skyrim.
Skyrim can get some credit here.
It'll get some credit for. I think it was one of those things where I wouldn't have gone anyway to class, but and I now feel like I have to preface all of this. It wasn't that semester that I failed out of, but I came close. It was the one after, so 2012. And so I remember sitting there in my basement, my parents' basement, in my mid-20s, in the dark, playing.
As a Dragonborn does.
As a Dragonborn does, playing, not even doing the main quest. Just playing Skyrim and like collecting cheese wheels and like, have you ever played it?
Yes.
Oh yeah, okay.
The cheese wheels.
The cheese wheels. Just collecting, being so overburdened from junk that I picked up that I could like barely walk. I was just like slowly walking toward I almost said Winterfell, but that is Game of Thrones. It's all the same.
It all stems from Skyrim.
It all stems from Lord of the Rings. And
that's fair.
And what was the Windhelm? No, yeah. White Run. That's what it was. But yeah, I would say that this was the kind of jumping off point for me of like realizing that, okay, I'm not great at school, but I am really good at video games. And I am really good at avoiding school, which while I played this, I was also drawing comics for the first time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so me dropping out of school gave me a lot of time to make comics and start launching like my online presence.
Really? Okay.
So thanks to Skyrim and my inability to be anywhere I should be, like in class, I now have a career in cartooning and comics. So that is how Skyrim has changed my life.
That's it's pretty evident the meaning there. And I feel like you really just leaned into your strengths. You're like, why am I so good at leaving school? Why not just lean harder into it and like really just give it my all? And you did. And look at you now. You're world renowned. You know, all the accolades you have.
There's a few accolades.
Yeah. It's enough. I think there's a plethora. There's enough to quantify a plethora. But so that first time you played, I kind of want to get more into that scene of that dungeon when you're in the basement in the dark. So you were introduced to it. Did you just immediately dive into it, or was it like? Did you have a prior history with the series, or
no? I had only ever watched my brother play Oblivion, and kind of like because I'm 6 years older than my brother, so I was always kind of like hovering. Like, he was always like. The things he was into, I was kind of like, I'd clock, be like, oh, he's doing this now, he's doing that now. And there was some other game, Fable. What is it? Is it called Fable?
Fables.
Yeah. I played that a little bit.
Okay.
And that was fun. And I was like, oh, this is cool. But I was annoyed that I couldn't like go anywhere. I just had to follow the trail. And maybe this is just being ADHD, but like I was like, I want to go over to that mountain, and they're not letting me.
Yeah.
Okay, this is lame. Also, why am I taller than everyone in this village? Like, for some reason that bothered me. I'm like, why am I gigantic?
The height difference is very unrealistic in this setting.
Dude, Fable, I don't know. Fable's fine. It's fine. But I was like, I need more. And then shortly after I played that, my brother Stuart got Skyrim, and I thought, why not? I love this kind of stuff. I love like mythology and history, and this kind of like, I noticed that all of these things were based on real mythologies from different countries. And I thought that was really cool. And so I think that kind of drew me in, and also just like the feeling, the regular old sadness.
as one does.
Yeah. And so it was a nice little escape.
Okay.
But that first time I played it, I just dove right in, and I made a Breton. Yeah, I played a Breton.
Okay.
One of because it was the closest to like Welsh, because I was learning Welsh at the time. So I was like, this is close to Welsh, and so I played a Breton mage. I can't even remember now.
Okay. Have you? Well, I have a few questions. Having your brother having played it, did you two have to take turns playing it, or was it kind of like a, hey, I'm going to watch you play, you watch me play, or like were you playing the same file? Like, can you? I'm very curious, because that is a very. I very much relate to you in that experience with my brother. He's a few years younger than me, and sometimes my interests would lean him into my direction. Other times his interests would take me on a journey. And we would, in those earlier days, many don't know nowadays, I think in how easily available games are, but like you had to share. There was a lot of like, if you only have one thing, we got to figure out a system that we can both like min-max here in terms of just like available time and resources, because you're both equally interested in it. So from a sibling standpoint, I'm like, oh, how did you two navigate that?
Well, it helped that he was in high school and he was gone all day. So I was like, which is I think another reason why I didn't go to class, because I was like, this is my chance to play. And
much like Fable, where high school is more required, you were at the college level, you're like, I don't have to. And this game also can let me choose. So why not lean into player agency in life?
I'm gonna take, really lean into agency in real life, and to probably my detriment at the time, but hey, whatever. No, he and I, yes, we'd have to share. But since we were both like, I was an adult and it wasn't like when we were kids. Like when we were kids, it was like, I'm going to throw this controller at your head. Like, if you don't let me play Banjo-Kazooie, like I'm going to, but it was, growing up, it was like, we all watch each other play, and then somebody takes a turn and watch that person play. And my little sister never got to play at all. She just had to watch us play.
You were a streamer before it even became a thing.
I was to my sister, who now doesn't even, she plays video games now, but she definitely wasn't, we didn't include her. You know what I mean? But yes, Stu and I would always switch off or get angry at each other, but we'd always have separate games because we had very different play styles.
Okay. So, you were allowed to do that then. Okay.
Yeah, with Skyrim, he was like a sneaky Khajiit, and I was more just like I'm gonna run in there and kill everything, like with my sword and some magic. Like I was a tank. Yeah. Okay. So we had
And so, did you? I mean, I know Skyrim is a single player game, so it's very much you're not really interacting with other players. Did you meet anyone over like in your time playing it, or like have any college friends or anyone that you, besides your brother, that you were like, hey, you also play? Was there community or friendships that you bonded over this?
It's funny, because I was dating my now husband at the time, and I got his whole family into it, and I got him into it, and then I could barely watch him play because I'd be like, you are raiding every little cupboard or trunk or like
he was completionist.
He was a completionist in the worst way, and I'd just be like, just kill the dragon, like. And he had this like. We still make fun of this. He had a cheese room, because that's why I brought up the cheese, because he would just collect wheels of cheese, and they all weighed like 1.5 pounds, right? Yeah. And so he'd be laden down with cheese, and he would take it to his house in Whiterun and just dump all of it in one of the rooms and try to stack them, like stack the cheese. And I remember just being like, just do the quest. like I'm a completionist, but like, I don't need my cheese stacked. You know what I mean?
So I had a question actually at a later point, but I feel like it's very on point now. On a scale of 1 to I have a problem, how often do you steal cheese wheels? Like,
was that a question?
That was a question I had. Dude, it sounds like your husband had. Was on a cheese addict. Okay.
No, I would look. Cheese wheels are good. Like, they will give you health. They're only 1.5 pounds. Actually, that's a huge problem. But if there's a cheese wheel and I have room, I'm putting that cheese wheel in my pocket. Like, I to this day, I'm like, well, you can never have too many cheese wheels.
I feel like Wallace and Gromit very much informed my enthusiasm for cheese, and games have understood that. And game developers have just been like, let's respect the cheese. Always have cheese as one of the food options in a game.
And I always say that, like, besides being like the people who have destroyed the world, Europeans have one other legacy, and it's cheese.
Cheese?
So it's the only part of my culture I can partake in that isn't problematic. So I just see like a big chunky wheel of cheese. It's like so satisfying to just go, oh yeah, I want that.
Okay.
And I want that in real life.
Yeah, it's like art imitates life, and you're like, I want it. So you got him and your whole now extended family to be a part of it. Like, was that just like a, hey, check out this thing? Or was it like, come watch? How was that bond formed then? Was it just from a mutual interest in games?
It was because, his family, he has a lot of siblings, and I've known all of them. I've known him since I was 13. So I've known his whole family for a long time, and so I introduced it to my husband, my now husband, and he ended up showing it to his sister, and only a few people got into it, but
Okay.
half of his family, and by a few I mean like 4,
Okay.
4 of his siblings, maybe
Yeah.
3, got into it, and so they would come over, and I would go over there, and we'd all kind of just like play, and it was, again, they were all like him, where I was like, I'm gonna explode if you don't do the quest. Like, I'm just now remembering this. That was
You're
rough.
having. I'm sorry for having.
No,
Yeah, for going through this.
I taught me patience, and in something, it like prepared me for parenthood, I think. Waiting, sitting there waiting.
Enough with the cheese wheels. Yeah.
Or the skull pit. Oh, he had a. I can't believe it. I'm just remembering this. My husband also had a skull pit, so he'd like go and collect bones around the area.
Okay.
So you could pick up human bones. This is disgusting. And
the level of agency they allowed.
It's insane. Like, I was out there like leveling up, and he's like, look at my skull pit. And it was literally the fireplace in his house in Whiterun. Mm-hmm. He wanted to see how deep it went. Like, how much could you throw in there? And so he ended up filling it with skulls. This is more like a I'm telling more about my husband than I am about me.
For me, it's interesting. It's like, I look at you, you've taken it from like your brother, and then now you were imparting it onto others as well. And so there is like a transference of like, hey, I enjoyed this, let me share it. And I think that's a big part of a gaming experience in of itself. So one of the questions I was asking about, like with extending it to his family and now yours, was there like a basic gaming knowledge that they kind of had, or were they was this like a first for all? Like, how much into games were you prior to this? Was gaming a regular part of your life as well?
Yes, but not open world. Not open world. Nothing like this had ever, like, it, when I first played it, it was like I was going through into Narnia. You know what I mean? Like, I felt like I had entered a new world of like, this is what gaming is. Yeah. And the rich history and that they put into every single one of these like areas on the map, and that excitement of like explore. I feel like it taps into like ancient humanity, where it's like, let's go explore. You know what I mean? And you get excited because you find something new or some new resource, and there's something deep in my like primal brain that's like, let's go find a new city. And they hadn't, my family, my husband's family hadn't really played any of these types of games either. It was kind of, I mean, if you think about it, it was kind of new for the time. It was new for the mainstream.
I agree. I think there was, we look at it now and you see a dime a dozen of like, hey, games that just give players agency. Grand Theft Auto is a very popular one, but there's so many other versions of Skyrim and that I think you look back at the time period this came out, and that was rare to see in a fully fledged, fully like possible way of like, we can do it based on limitations. This was very much like you can fully engage with cheese if that's what you like want you to do, or you could not and have a completely different experience. I think that's
follow the main quest line. You can become a vampire and kill innocent people.
Well, for that, like the main quest thing and all the things you did, was role playing ever an aspect of it for you? Were you very much like, it's me, Hannah, playing this game and just the things I want to explore, or did you kind of get into, I'm playing a character, what is the character's motivations? And
that's what it was, because I like writing stories, I like storytelling, and so for me, it's like, I want to make this character and I'll give her a backstory, like, or I would like have her roll with the punches. Like one time, because you can get married in this game, and so I married this werewolf lady, and then she died, and I couldn't get remarried because she was my companion. And I think Ayla, I think her name was Ayla. Anyway, she was my companion, and then she died, and I could never get remarried. So I was like, okay, now her main motivation is seeking revenge. Like I would put some little stories in here and there because the game would glitch, and so I'd be like, oh, let's make this story about it, or like, I would kind of get into that, or like, I just like to know what stories there are. And then, her going to different places, like how would this is so nerdy, but like politically, like in the in-game politics, it's like, why would I be able to do these quests without getting, you know what I mean? I wish I could explain it. I love politics. I love the in-game politics. I love the having to decide between, should I side with pretty much the Roman imperialists or the nationalist, the Nordic nationalists, you know what I mean?
Wow.
And it's both options are yucky.
Yeah.
both of them feel bad doing.
But you're like, my character's faced with this dilemma, and how do I? What's the next thing that they go through? Yeah.
Right.
Was there a particular quest or story moment that has stuck with you, like, or that you look back on with strong feelings?
Oh, yeah, that stupid dog. What is his name?
Can you?
You know who it is. That Daedra,
I'm familiar. Yeah.
That dog that's like, hey, you're walking into Whiterun one day and this dog stops you and he's like, hey, come with me, and it's like a talking dog. Like, come on, I just want to go like sell my mushrooms to this, like whatever. Like, I need to go raid a tomb, and you're here talking to me like a New Yorker, like a dog. Anyway,
I'm walking here.
I'm walking in this dog, and then of course you follow this dog, and you're like, great, now I'm like trapped in this Daedra like shenanigans, and I gotta like go to some midnight feast. I don't even remember. I remember hating it.
It was a very strong. Okay, I understand.
I remember feeling hijacked.
Yeah,
like,
I've lost my agency.
Yes, I've lost my agency. I have to follow a talking dog with a New York accent into the woods. Like, you're disrupting my whole thing. And so the second time I played through, I would avoid that area like the plague, because I didn't want to have to like deal with the dog.
Yeah, that was one of the things I wanted to ask you too. Is this game has been it's become a joke how often it's been remade and rebrought out,
right?
And so many times. Given a game as big as that, how often have you revisited it? And when you revisit it, what do you do anything differently, or is it with a certain intention? Please, I'd love to hear.
I think I've played it 3 times.
Okay.
Like leveled up to level 60 3 times. And I'm gonna own that. I am not gonna feel ashamed, because I used to
There's
be like,
nothing to feel ashamed.
Oh,
this is a safe space.
This is safe space. Yeah. So yeah, the first time I played it, I was like, went with my normal like setup tank kind of thing, and then I was like, I'm gonna try something else. So I would branch out and do a different like race and different play style, and I'd always end up back at like brute force run in without thinking.
Okay.
And so I tried to kind of branch out, and I tried to do different things, like not joining the Thieves Guild, or not becoming a vampire, or instead becoming the vampire hunter or whatever, or joining the Imperials, or joining the Stormcloaks. Like I liked playing around, like seeing what happens with each, and then so yeah, I've played but it's funny because it like directly led me into trying to do my own gaming YouTube, actually.
Yeah.
Back in like 2015, because Elder Scrolls Online came out.
Yeah.
Did you ever play that?
I did not, but I've always been curious. Like, was that like an MMO-esque experience? Oh, it is. Okay.
Oh yeah.
How was that?
It was scary how much my life started revolving around it.
Oh.
It was one of those things where it's like, I'm excited to wake up to play this game.
Okay.
And so I was like, well, I'll make it worth it by like trying to monetize it on YouTube. And then I got in trouble for like putting I got into the beta, and so I started taping. What is this, the 90s? I started recording myself. I started recording myself playing the beta, and then I got in huge trouble because I got so many views because no one had seen the beta, and it was against the rules. But it kind of launched my like a tiny little YouTube career, and then I got carpal tunnel in both hands, and so.
Oh man, because of
my doctor,
like playing so much?
Playing all of it. I was playing Destiny, and the PlayStation controller sucks. And
I can commiserate there. That game has worn my hands out too.
What is with that? And so my doctor was like, you need to choose between your career and playing video games this much. And I was like, oh, I guess I'll choose art. So
yeah, and then that fueled your art, and you're like, okay, I could.
Yeah, and then I kind of got back into like Fallout, like doing Fallout and stuff. But then again, I lost myself in the story, and I'm like, I gotta chill out.
Well, it's wild though with these games where there's an opportunity, like we've said so many times already, of like being able to inject yourself into the world. Mm-hmm. I'm very curious, like with each of these styles of games, like, and you kind of hinted a little bit at it, like what do you have like a go-to mode of operation when you go into an open world-esque game? Because I definitely do, and I'm very curious, like what yours is.
I would say I usually look around to test the limits of my of my surroundings.
Yeah.
See how far I can go before I die or whatever, so I can figure out what I need to level up to get to the next place. I would say that my main objective is to get the main quest out of the way so I can have like all the loot and cool stuff to then do all the side quests.
Yeah.
Side quests are where it's at. Is that
well, that's some of what
track?
Some of it, but I think again what you were talking of, like, you like to prove, like, the play style you have of
yes.
being aggressive, being tactical,
Yeah.
being sneaky, charming, like persuasion. I've played, so one of the Fallout runs, it wasn't my normal run, but one of the following runs, what I did was I just maxed out my charisma so I could just talk my way in and out of anything. But that's not my normal play style. I just like to, in the moment, be like, what would I do? And I just do whatever that is. And sometimes it ebbs good, sometimes it ebbs bad, and it becomes a weird blend.
Right.
But my follow-on playthroughs, I like to be like, I'm going to go pure evil or pure good or something. Like, I really lean into a character, but the first one is very much a genuine, here's me. And so I'm wondering, like, how do you approach that from that mindset?
The first time playing, I didn't really think. I just picked things that felt fun.
Yeah.
And that I was comfortable with, and then and I ended up. I've always wanted to be a sneaky magician or like some sly, That's all I've ever wanted, and I'm just not that. Like me, like I need a fight. Like if I see a group of like bandits or whatever, I'm running in there.
Yeah.
Like maybe I'll pick off a few. I'll injure a few with like a bow. But like,
give him a shot.
I'm too impatient, or I'm just like, I just want to kill him. So like, I'll just like, and I this is the same way like in real life where I'm like, I wish I were mysterious. I'm gonna be mysterious, and then I'm like, here's everything about me. Yeah. Okay, like it or leave it.
Yeah, just throw yourself into the thick of it and then figure it out. I'm very much the same as you.
Oh, really? That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even with like, I would even say to the extent that like, I don't always need to jump into if like a series like Skyrim, there's, you have predecessor, prior, all the prequel games that lead up to it. I'm just like, throw me into the one that draws my attention.
Yep.
And I will figure out the rest backwards or forwards, or I just want to be in the thick of whatever's going on. Me too. Then I'll find what I need to find out. And I think,
does it depend on mood for you too? Because sometimes I'll start playing and I'm like, I'm in a sneaky mood today. Like,
I definitely, again, with a game like that, it's very much like, and video games not being like I'm not playing as a streamer or as anything, so it's very much like, do I need to just relax tonight? I'll focus on things that just like I can turn my brain kind of off and just cruise control. Other nights I'm like, I want to really engage. Like, for instance, Destiny. You mentioned Destiny has a variety, and we're jumping to it for a variety of games, but like it all stems from the same thing. I think Skyrim brings, of like Destiny gives a lot of player agency, but there are certain types of activities that I could just be on autopilot and just do repeatedly while I have a podcast or some songs on.
That moon loop, the grind loop on the moon, man. I can just do that for like 3 hours.
But if I'm doing a raid or something a little bit more intensive like that, I'm like, I got to do this dungeon without dying because there's a title related to it. I'm like, all hands on deck. I need to pay attention to every jump, everything. And it's a different mentality that I'm in. So to your question, it very much depends on my mood, how I approach a series of tasks that I want to do. But
like I'll get going on something and I'm like, I'm not in the mood for, again, a Daedric quest. Or like, oh cool, I'm in Markarth and someone's like, come with me. I'm like, great, we're about to watch someone get sacrificed. I'm not down for this, but then sometimes I am. Here's the thing, that's what I love about Skyrim. Is that it is whatever you want it to be. You can enter this world and you can go help someone collect stuff for their farm, or you can go and assassinate like a legionnaire, like a Roman legionnaire guy. I keep saying Roman. Imperial. That's what it is. They just look like Romans. You can choose whatever you want and be the hero or the villain or just collect cheese wheels or like fill your house with stuff. Yeah, like when they added houses, I was like, oh cool, this is The Sims now. Great.
This is
the other game that shaped me as a person. Now I get to do this with killing.
Okay. Yeah. Intentionally.
Intentional killing.
For your opinion on Skyrim, I mean, all these years that you've had experience with it, that it's impressed on you. Has your opinion of it changed since that first, time, or has it always kind of remained a version? Or what are your thoughts?
No, it's kind of it holds up.
Yeah.
I went back and played it, I want to say like 4 or 5 years ago, and I was like, this is awesome. This is still great.
Yeah.
And it still has all the it's almost like nostalgic now.
Yeah.
And that could just be because it's nostalgic that I'm like, it's holding up, but yeah. I don't know. It's always been a very special game to me, and that I can always go back to it. And yeah.
I think there's a lot to what you're saying too, of why they have remade it so many times. There's so many elements of it that just that speak to people throughout the years, and even the mod community has made efforts to. We didn't even broach that. I was very curious. Have you played around with mods?
No.
Okay.
I didn't have a powerful enough computer.
Okay.
And then I built one.
Oh, okay.
But then I still kind of felt like a purist. I don't need mods.
I want the Skyrim, the experience they intended for me. Yeah.
Although it is fun to watch. Have you ever watched Robaz?
I haven't.
He's like this Swedish dude. He always just does these Skyrim mods. This was 15 years ago.
Okay.
But he did one where it was one punch, and so he would just go around and one punch, and he made it so you could kill anyone, and so he'd one punch a kid straight into the air.
Oh my god!
Stuff like that, where it was this game's insane, and so are the mods.
The mod community itself, I think. Further brought the attention of hey, there's a community that constantly wants this game either to do silly things or to try to be hey, this now operates at the latest resolutions and frame rates and stuff. So I think there's a lot to be said of does this game still hold up? Very much so.
Kind of a perfect game. I shouldn't say it's a perfect game because there's plenty of things wrong with it. Again, like I said, the nationalist bent to the Stormcloaks. I'm you guys are racist.
Yeah, there's some politics in this game.
Hold on, you guys are straight up white supremacists. No, I mean, I wouldn't say straight up, but how in the same way that Nordic stuff now is a dog whistle for white supremacists, it's similar in the game where it's you guys don't want anyone living in your land? Okay, but that's not cool. Yeah. But the other guys are evil and violent. So there's these politics things that are kind of
they're there,
ancient and old, and they happen in every society, and making your character choose between them is really interesting, and how you see heroes, the way that everyone's you're a hero, and then you look at your kill count, and I'm I've killed 2,000 people. I'm a serial killer. Half of them were bandits. They probably needed all that food they were stealing or whatever, I don't know. I get too, and then I get all wrapped up in the politics because I like politics. So it's just who am I as a hero? I'm just this person who comes in and kills dragons and also innocent civilians.
Well, yeah, I feel they gave you all of that, and it's you can engage with any and all elements of this if you so choose. So you can get into the lore of it, or you can just cheese wheel it the whole way to the top.
Cheese wheel it.
Yeah, just cheese wheel it.
Well, what did you play when you played it? What was your setup? Were you
I primarily, I don't remember 100% because back then it's been a minute, but I remember just doing a very default kind of setup because that was very much for me of I just want to just jump in, and then the choices were going to start becoming an element of what I do. And so a lot of my experience was similar to yours of just let me go into the thick of a fight, give me the weapons and give me the abilities that I can just hack and slash at any given moment. So I very much enjoyed that.
Just pummel my way through this game.
You've already introduced this game to several people, but if you were to introduce it to someone today, how would you pitch? What would be your pitch to be hey, you should play Skyrim?
I don't know.
I don't think Kava has played, but if you were to
he's
Kava,
not going to play that.
If you were going to be what's my best argument to get someone like him?
Ooh, I'd be you can do literally anything. You can cause chaos in any way you want. If I told him that he could again, install a mod that made it so you could punch someone into the sun, he might be like, oh, I'll play that. But I don't know. He doesn't quite strike me as someone who's going to sit down and like play an open world game. Or he'll do it and just get completely wrapped up in like some pointless task. I do all the time.
I would love to, if you ever want to re-explore your gaming career, you guiding him through the game. And like,
dude, I would pay to watch that. Like, I think he's a little bit like he would say this too, where he's like, "Oh, I want to play like the games I grew up with, like Mario and Pac-Man and stuff." I say that as if he's like 60. He's not. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
His game of choice was Contra, so we had a great conversation about Contra. Right. It was very cool.
I think he prefers the straightforward aspect of it, and that's also his person. I mean, he's very more linear than me. I'm like, yeah, I'll just walk over here, see what happens.
You don't have to worry about cheese wheels or anything. So maybe it's more in line with what you'd like. You'd be like, I just want to, beeline it. But it could be kind of like 500 tabs, but instead of tabs, 500 side quests.
500 open side quests that I'll never finish. Or I'll finish, but it'll glitch and I'll be stuck with that one. Like, there was that one side quest the loot. The loot glitch. I
don't remember the loot glitch.
You have to bring this stupid loot to somebody because you're just a messenger boy. You're just a glorified. You're like a messenger person with like a sword and a long line of killings you've done. and so there's someone gave me some loot to give back to someone, and it was glitched so much that I had to carry around this like 10-pound loot, like a little fiddle,
Yeah.
For the rest of the game.
In the loot, yeah.
Yeah, and then I think they did a patch for it at some point, but it was too late. I was already like, I'm never taking this loot to anybody. To deliver your own loot.
Yeah. This was also the first game you've mentioned it with the cheese and with the loot now. That weight was a factor for your carrying capacity. I had never had to engage with that before, but knowing of it now in games, I'm like, oh. Yeah, imagine all the things I'm carrying and all the things in prior games that I've always just been like, just add it to my,
I have
infinite
a dragon skull. Like, where is that? Is that in my pocket? Like,
and so you have to be conscious of it, and then it can actually impact your enjoyment or displeasure at any given point.
There are consequences to your hoarding.
Yes.
just like real life.
And I took those lessons.
Yeah. No, sorry, go on.
No, I just took those lessons. I was like, yeah, there are consequences to how much I'm carrying at a given time.
You can't just fill your pockets with skulls.
No.
Okay? That's always what I say.
And just walk away.
And walk away. Like, you can't fight a dragon while also being laden down with the skulls and bones of its brethren. Like, here's my favorite, is when you're, like, fighting something and you are like, I don't have any health potions. I have to eat 60 potatoes. You go crouch in a corner and sneak and then just eat all the potatoes and it'll fill your life like halfway. And you're like, good, I'm good to go.
I've had that even with like Breath of the Wild, of like you're in the middle of combat and you pause and you're scarfing your face while this creature is in front of you. Like, what is he doing?
Is he eating right now?
He didn't offer me anything to eat alongside.
It's like, I know he's killing me, but like, it's polite.
Come on, at least feed me.
But that weight limit was like a new thing for me too, where I was just like, wait, you're telling me I can't carry all of this around?
Yeah.
And I have to go home. Like, you have to get a house and a trunk and fill your trunk with your junk. And like, I can't carry 17 swords with me. Like, come on. And then it makes you choose. You're like, I'm looting this dead body. Sounds insane. One of my many victims, and I can't bring this axe with me. Not that I need it.
But the fact that I can't have it now has become a point of contention.
Yeah, now I'm like, fine, game. I will take these 60 potatoes and I'll drop them over here, and I will take this axe home. Thank you very much.
If you could have a say, let's say Todd Howard and his team are like, okay, the next Elder Scrolls game is in work and we're in the decision-making phase, and they're like, Hannah, we need your input on a few elements here. What do you have? Like, what are you pitching? What do you want from the next, Elder Scrolls? Oh,
that's tough because I guess I'd kind of like to see some of the other, because they've done a game set in other places in the world. And I think I was always really into the Bretons, which are pretty much the French Celts of the game. And that was always like intriguing. I think that their like world, what I feel like would be like a total, I don't know, like kind of clownish, but I want to see it. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like I want to see their thing. I want to see orcs. Ooh, orcs.
Okay.
I'd want to have one set where like main orc strongholds, because they're awesome. You can play as an orc, but they're like seen as evil. It'd be cool to see them.
Okay.
Playing
so
from
further
an
expansion of the perspectives of the world.
Yeah. And further like exploration of culture. This is me loving anthropology.
Yeah.
It's like I want to get into the orcs, the people we think are enemies, and see how their government works, and you know, humanize them, humanize them. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Todd Howard will get this, and we'll have a discussion.
I want orcs, dude. That's what I want.
Okay. Very good.
Yeah.
I do want to ask, as we get to wrapping up, any closing thoughts on like it's going from like what you said, like your brother and you know, your introduction to this game, you imparting it to others, and how it shaped. It played a factor in where you are now in your career and your illustration and writing. What are like final thoughts on how Skyrim, what it means to you and everything?
It showed me at a time when I was barely hanging on to like keeping my life together that, and you know, I got addicted to it, you know, but it did show me that stories can go any way. You know what I mean? Like that agency in games is really fun, and it's very freeing, especially like I'm bringing this into it, but like growing up a girl and wanting to be involved in the gaming community was really hard. Like there wasn't much space, or there was a lot of like the neighbor kids being like, no, you're not doing it right, no, just give me the controller, you know, stuff like that, where I never felt like I could freely explore a game without being told how to do it or not allowed. And so I got to make this like dope buff female character who gets to just like do whatever she wants. Was really cool, and I loved that. That was fun to be able to see women, a woman, because at that point there wasn't as many women in like as the main character of a game.
Yeah,
this was pre-Gamergate or whatever, and so there was the fact that I could make this woman who could do anything was really cool, and she could go anywhere, and I could explore cultures, and honestly, it was everything I loved. You know, it was art, it was culture, it was anthropology, it was feminism, it was all this stuff that you could, and it was just this world that was like, do whatever you want. I'm like, yeah, I will. Yes, I'll do what I will collect every cheese. Like, I will assassinate. Master. I'll assassinate anybody you want. You know, like just like stuff like that, where it's like it gave me a weird in-game agency that transferred over to my real life as like I can do what I want. You know,
yeah.
I can take something. Have. Yes, I can take something like getting kicked out of school and kind of turn it and flip it for myself a little bit, and this just injected me with creativity.
I love that. And I see it so much in all of your stuff. I never get tired of stopping by your booths at panels, at going through. I occasionally like go through your Cat People book, the collection.
Oh yeah, did you see the Skyrim shout out?
Yeah, I did.
When she's picking the lock and she's like, "This is so much easier in Skyrim."
I see it so much in everything that you do now, and the way you've explained it, it's very clear to me. So I appreciate you coming on the show and sharing all these points. And like, to me, it's a culmination of what I think what this show is about, is that connection and where it like leads into our lives and it can impact us. So thank you, Hannah.
Of course.
This
was so fun.
This has been a great, like, to me, I couldn't have thought of a better way to end season 1. So thank you again for being on the show. Is there I want to give you an opportunity. I know you have a lot coming up. This will be probably airing sometime in April. So if there's anything you want to point people to, or where they can find you, please, this is your moment.
April, I don't know what day in April it's going to be aired, but I'm aired. What is this, the 90s? I'm saying videotaped and aired. TV. Channel 3 News. Channel 3 News. Hannah's talking about video games. No, it's I'm going to be doing Chicago C2E2, Chicago Comic Con. Okay. So that'll be April 11th through the 13th. So no, there's no panels. There's no panels happening there, but I will have a booth. Okay. I don't know the booth yet, but me and Kaveh will be sharing. And also, of course, we're our podcast is something that I really want everybody to give go give a listen to. If you like video games, you're probably going to like something we've talked about, because it's we just take one of our 500 open tabs and share it with each other and then close them out. And Kurosh has been on there. It was one of my favorite episodes.
That was
the
magic
one. If you want to watch my co-host die inside, you can see him. You can watch the light leave his eyes. It's amazing.
It was such a funny phenomenon. And that podcast is 500 open tabs, correct?
Yes, 500 open tabs. Yeah.
That episode is so funny because he very much was like, he's never seen your eyes light up so much. And it had such an inverse effect on him that it was so funny in the moment. It was hard to not giggle throughout the recording.
Because we were both just like, oh, like we like mind melded. We're like Magic the Gathering. And you could see him just be like, oh no.
Yeah.
There are two of them. But also you can follow me at Hannah Hillam on everything. And I'm going to be in San Diego Comic-Con in July. Booth BB01. Yeah.
Okay. We'll make sure to share all this in the show notes. And again, thank you all for listening and watching this episode. And we'll see you.
Me.
Sorry,
I interrupted you.
No. I apologize. This is still very much a hey, we were riffing. So
yeah, well, I do this to my own co-host as well. Probably will say something, and I'll just be like, "Oh, and this," and he's like, "You just stepped all over my line," and so I just did it again. I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say thanks for having me.
Oh yeah, no. Again, this was an absolute pleasure, and I appreciate you being here. I appreciate all the fans listening and watching, and then we'll see you on the next save point.
Bye.